Hello YouTube, my name is Plazukas, and I've been back for about 2 weeks now. And the one content that I have not really done that I was doing before I left was the Gacha Report. And today I have the distinct pleasure to basically go over that and react to Tectone reacting to the Gacha Report. And apparently this may not exist in a month because Hoyoverse, Kuro Games, or whoever else doesn't want this kind of marketing or bad press out there. They would rather all these numbers kind of live in obscurity and maybe get them when we do financial reports for those countries that have to report back to their investors. I'm not even sure if China does, but either way, let's react to Tectone reacting to the Gacha report for November, and I'll give you my expert analysis because I'm rarely wrong about this, by the way.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. Well, boys, it is the first of the month, and you know what that means. It actually might just be the final Gacha revenue report that we ever do here on this channel. Fucking crazy numbers. Wuthering Waves amassing 7.25 thousand. Wait, $7.25 million. That is honestly incredibly good. I believe they've nearly doubled their revenue from the last month. It appears that Camellia did a wonderful job revitalizing the game, and it looks like 2.0 is really going to revitalize.
So I'm one of the biggest proponents in saying that this game is dead. And I know there's going to be pushback a little bit later, apparently, for this video. And I know there's pushback about the Wither and Waves community, and that's fine. Go ahead and say what you got to say, okay? But 17 million this many months in, and then potentially 8 million the month before because I didn't do the report on that. That's not good. They have a staff of over 100, 200 people. They've had to continuously try to push up updates when they were behind when they first launched this game. It is an ever increasing issue, and if you think that 2.0 is going to last more than 1 week and it's going to give them any amount of boost in sales, it's not. And I'm going to get to this in a minute. I'm not going to just say everything I need to say right now about Wuthering Waves. But I have something to lead into this. So just hold on for that because there is going to be a point to this.
This game, I have very high hopes for this game. And the big thing is remember that Kuro Games is a company that's been releasing one character per patch, right? So this revenue could essentially be doubled if they were to release two characters.
One character per patch. That is an indicator that they're behind. I said this a long time ago. I said that when they released the game that they didn't really have anything else. They were just kind of have to make it up as they went along, and which is what they've been doing essentially. And so when they get to 2.0, they're going to market it. They're going to spend basically a lot of their capital to try to boost those numbers back up and try to get that audience energized again. And they have a January release for the game itself on PlayStation, and that is their last chance, ultimately. And they could get enough of a boost. And yeah, is the game going to go anywhere based on this? Probably not. But here's the point that I want to make. At some point, the developers will be like, okay, this game is on an auto update cycle now. We'll have a small team dedicated to this, but we're going to work on other adventures. And therefore, you're playing a game that is essentially dead. That is no longer going to get the actual devoted developers on it. And why would you want to play a game, okay, akin to Destiny 2, that has other people working on something else while you're having to continue to monetize, pay into their game? Well, they're not even caring about it. Well, that's not even their main focus. That's what I mean by being dead. Let me be very clear. That's what I mean by them being dead. You don't have to EOS in this current climate. They just have to take half their dev team on something else. That is a dead game to me. If they're not putting all their team on that one thing, then I don't know why they'd expect us to spend all of our money on that, because it's not going to produce the results and the updates that we should expect as someone that's supporting the game to the extent that it needs to in order to survive. It just doesn't, and nobody's going to say that because, they'll make other points that are more convenient for them and their in their community.
Characters a patch, perhaps even more, depending on how good the characters are. But that's really big. That's a really good sign for things to come. Unfortunately, Tencent bought out majority market share for the game, so we're going to see how that's going to affect them long term. I'm hoping it'll be a positive and not a negative, but we will have to see in the upcoming days. We have a Wuthering Wave sitting at 18.25 mil. A lot of people will probably doom post for Resemblance Zone Zero. However, I still think the game is doing very good, all things considered. I think the game is great, and the game continues to get better every single update, so I'm not really worried about ZZZ at all. Monster Strike making 19 mil, no idea what the fuck that is. Honkai Star Rail, aka Honk Shit Starbucks, making 21 mil, pretty much identical money to Zenless Zone Zero. I think the game is doing fantastic. HSR and ZZ's in a very good spot. More money to Hoyo equals, well, nothing, because they don't really use our money on improving the game, as we've seen time after time after time. But who knows? Maybe we'll get another slutty character in ZZZ that the modders can rig to have sex and suck dick. We'll find out. Nikkei Goddess of Victory making 28 million. They probably put out a new blowjob machine skin for one of the characters. Who fucking knows? Good for them. This game is making an absurd amount of money for how simplistic it is. But then again, sex fucking sells. Genshin Impact amassing a whopping $36 million, nearly doubling every other big gacha game on the market. Good for them. However, it gets shit on by Arknights and Love and Deep Space. So let's really talk about what...
I mean, Genshin is the standout here. It's been out, well, not the longest out of all the gachas on the list, but it's obviously still producing the numbers. And it's a community that Tecton's not even in. Obviously, he's associated with it. And a lot of other content creators that are currently playing that game, he always shits on them and creates this huge toxic community around that, which is, it speaks for itself, right? But it's still producing the numbers that you'd expect from that game. That game is legitimate. That's the kind of stuff that the direct competitor to that game, which would be Wuthering Waves, should be doing. And it's not. And it doesn't have to in order to survive. Okay, but I've already spoken to why I think it's basically dead.
We can learn about these numbers and the really big message about these numbers. Okay? Here's what we can learn about this. If your game isn't making as much as Genshin Impact, end of service is around the corner. You might as well end your game now, because if you're not making $500 million every year, your game's dead. Everybody knows that these games require minimum $50 million a month in order to do their updates. So without that, Honkai Star Rail's in the Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves. It's been fun, but may God have mercy on your soul. Unfortunately, you're dead in the fucking water. Yeah, they will be end of servicing any day now. Okay, that's all bullshit. So let's talk about why the Gacha revenue report is most likely ending. So over the past couple months, I have been a firm advocate of talking about the Gacha revenue report. And the reason why that is because it's fun. It's because it's fun. It makes the community come alive and be at each other's throats.
Which is basically saying it's superficial for him. It's not superficial for me. Even though these numbers may not be accurate, they do at least give me an indicator of, what is successful, what, if you're going to want to play a game that is alive and that is being currently developed for and not, having its cycle just, updated, this is an indicator. So Genshin should be getting full support from its developers, ultimately. Wuthering Waves is right there on that cusp. I think they currently have all the developers on there, but they're having to make up so much time because they had to release so early in their cycle that they have no choice right now. But at some point, if they're not making all that money again, they're just going to say, okay, we'll work on something else, and we'll just do whatever we can for one content update, and that's going to continue to be worse and worse, in my opinion, until potentially it goes away. They don't have the leg room that Genshin does. Genshin had all this stuff planned way before it released. Honkai has all the benefit of having Genshin in the market, Hoyoverse, and then Zenless Zone Zero. Again, they can benefit.
I enjoy, I cherish, and I think it's fucking hilarious. Because motherfuckers really be getting mad at which company is the smallest billionaire. It's a joke. It's novelty. It's humorous. It's for entertainment reasons only. But I believe the reason why they're ending soon is because myself, as well as many others, have been discrediting the numbers of Gacha Revenue Report, which, in case you guys don't know, almost all of these numbers aren't accurate. It's due to the fact that they're all estimates.
Right. And you would discredit numbers that you appear to be soft or negative because you want the largest community ever. And God forbid that Genshin Impact is third from the top, a game you're not playing. The Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves are right there in the middle, making whatever money they're going to make, but they're not at the top. It's not Genshin. You're not playing Genshin, are you, Tectone? So, of course, you would discredit the numbers. It's not the game you're playing. I think Mr. Pokey's on Genshin right now. He knows. He knows where to go if he wants to make money. Go to the Genshin community. It's alive and well. Honkai's still fine. Zenless Zone Zero is still fine. They'll be able to maintain with that for now. But who knows what their expectations are for those games as well. They may go on a cycle and their developers may start working on something else, a different version, a different gacha, maybe even a single player like some of these companies have shifted to. Like Shift Up doing Stellar Blade instead of just Nikki.
On what they think they might have got, which is fucking crazy. And the other reason why I love making these videos is because it gives me a ton of views for zero fucking effort, as well as many others.
Yeah, it's nice.
And I think that's
great job.
Great.
Way to
It
go.
also makes the Genshin community really, really, really sad, right?
Right.
These people
Which
cry
you want to
over
shit on.
fucking everything. It actually is shocking. Like, I remember, like, the amount of cope.
Karma coming back at him right there.
Sorry, I'm sick.
That's fine.
Haktua. Sorry, spit on that thing. Sorry about that, I'm sick. But the amount of cope that comes out of these players' mouths is fucking ridiculous. I remember that when Kokomi came out, and Kokomi's sales were fucking terrible, there were people legitimately saying, well, maybe everybody just got willy wacky and got her in her first pull. That's why the revenue is down so low, because maybe everybody just won their 50-50 and they just got really lucky.
I mean, it's a perfect imitation of your community and how they talk about, their particular issues.
I think the Gacha Revenue Report, if it chooses to continue to update, I will choose to continue to comment on it because it's fucking hilarious. But I don't think anybody should be remiss. I don't really think anybody should be upset about this thing being a thing of the past because, well, these numbers really meant anything to begin with. And I want to say this, and I want everybody to really understand this.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how much money your gacha game is making, as long as
It
it's
does.
making enough to maintain
No.
itself. And this number scales quite significantly. It scales, right? But for Wuthering Waves, as long as it's making like $1 million a month.
That is the most inaccurate statement I've ever heard in my entire life. I know he was memeing when he said anything under 4 million, which is what he was saying. Cookie Cutter Run, it was under 4 million. Whatever, Cookie Cutter Run, whatever the game is called, was under 4 million that they should EOS. I know he was memeing. Okay, like I said, Wuthering Waves probably won't just EOS with that. But they will ultimately change their development team onto something else.
It's going to be fine. As long as HSR is making like $2 million a month, it's going to be fucking fine. These games will continue to update. It doesn't really matter. How much a game makes does not equate to how good it is. The only
In this current climate, it really does. Especially in the gacha scene. And especially if the standard or the bar initially was high, right? If it was already a bad game to begin with, then yeah, it's not going to probably get any better throughout its life of, service. But if it was a decent game and it had a good cadence and you came to expect certain things, then yes, money does matter ultimately because these companies will divest and do something else. And they'll still continue to try to get you to spend all the money while acting like they're working on it, but they're not. Destiny did this so well. Destiny 2 did this for a very long time. And then turns out 3 years, all the PvP team went to Marathon and PvP did not get any updates on Destiny. they diverted their staff, and Destiny was making all the fucking money, and they still did that, which is why I left that game eventually because of that reason. Gacha's a little bit different, and some companies are, they're not the same philosophy as Bungie or, a greedy company. But at the same time, this is what is expected from them is that if a game is losing money, then they will continue just to maintain whatever they can to try to make as much money as they can while also trying to develop something else.
Thing that matters is, do you enjoy it? Do the devs care? And are these devs supplying you with the changes that you want to see with minimal pushback on a reasonable basis? So play the games you enjoy. Don't worry about these revenue reports. This will come out later. Maybe it'll come out never. But just play what you like. And most importantly, follow me on twitch.tv/TechDome. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. And hopefully...
Yeah, and that's the video. The fact that the Gachas reports are going to be discontinued. And now if you look at the total revenues of all those Gachas, it's lower than it was the month before, the month before, the month before. It's on decline. And that is a result of, actual real games, that I would call real games, single player games and stuff, or other live service games that are not gacha, are actually raising their bar. And more people are getting into that. Fortnite had a revitalization. Call of Duty had a revitalization. Steam and Valve is doing their things over there, and they have a revitalization. A lot of people playing single player games, in general, on all platforms everywhere. That had a revitalization. And that doesn't, there's only so much time. And you got new people that might come into Infinity Nikki that's coming out, in a month, and that could bring another boom into the industry. And then obviously, Wuthering Waves coming to console in January, that could bring up the game in the industry. But these games require so much time and so much investment on a daily basis and on a time basis. Essentially, even if you're only spending 30 minutes to an hour on them daily, that's a lot of time that you spend on that game and not something else or in real life. And so there's only a limited amount of time. And with more gachas coming out, with them all having the same genre, it is extremely unsustainable, and I'll stand by it. Wuthering Waves, if this launch on the PlayStation is not successful, in June, they will divert their development to something else, and you're going to see less and less content from them. But stay tuned. My name is Bazookas. If you like this content, let's go. I'll see you next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.